The following program is rated BB014. It contains strong language, sexual situations, awesomeness, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener indiscretions are advised.
Welcome to our Bliss Bringers podcast. The materials we cover encourage adults of all ages, nationalities, and sexualities to open up and embrace their wildest desires and blissful pleasures. You won't find medical advice here, just our personal experiences following the journey of sexual evolution and education in sizzling fun topics that were definitely not taught to us in school, but have wickedly blossomed into reality. We discuss adventures in ethical non-monogamy, kinks and fetishes, exotic places to visit, sexy events, workshops, and tips. Allow us to seduce you into embarking on new adventures where each day you ask yourself, what's your pleasure?
Welcome back to the Bliss Bringers podcast. We're recording on June 16th, and I'm Professor T. And the whole team is here. We've got my luscious husband,
the captain,
and
Mr. Cindy,
and John, just John.
And today we're going to be talking about sacred sexuality with our very special guest, Stealthy Diva. Welcome, Stealthy Diva.
Thank you, Professor.
Now, before we get to sacred sexuality, does anyone have any personal updates that they'd like to share?
We heard you do. We want to hear more.
Yeah, we'll share. We have something to share. We were visiting my daughter, and we were in the car chatting away. Professor T and I discussed whether we would feel comfortable telling her and
telling her about the podcast.
Yeah, telling her about the podcast. She knows the lifestyle, but telling her about the podcast. And we thought, well, it's got to flow, so we're not too sure.
No, we decided we weren't comfortable telling her about the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Or at least you.
However, I felt bad about it because I thought, we discussed everything together, and I didn't feel good about that. So anyway, we were in the car, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, out it comes. We're doing a podcast. It's called Bliss Bringers.
Yeah, I had said that maybe we could tell her that we're podcasting, but we don't have to tell her the name of the podcast, so she doesn't necessarily have to find the podcast.
Well, how old is your daughter?
28. And it went over very well.
It actually did.
It really did. It went over very well, and we didn't get too technical about it.
No.
At all.
We're not that creepy.
But we felt I shared with her that I felt really nice that we were out of the closet and that she knew about it.
And she was actually, I don't even know if she's shocked anymore by what we do.
She wasn't shocked at all.
She said, I know that you do all kinds of things and I just need to get over the discomfort. You're my parents, you have sex, that's good. It's not a weird thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
So have you guys spoken with her since the news has broken?
Well, we were with her for quite a few days after that.
Yeah, we spent a few days with her after that. And it went over very well.
Fine.
Like, there's no problem whatsoever. But I did share with her a few days later, just out of the blue. I said, you know what? I feel so light that we're out of the closet here.
Good for you. I'm really proud of you guys.
Yeah, well, thanks.
But just don't be overcome with the same need when we're with my mom and dad, okay?
No. Although, you know what? I do get the urge on occasion.
No.
Have you tried beating him?
Well, we should
I have tried beating him, actually. It just makes him excited. Anyway.
Okay.
So that's our personal update. And Stealthy Diva, you were at a cuddle party, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
I was. It was really interesting. I've never been to a cuddle party before. There was a whole variety of different people there, and it's a non-sexual event, so clothes stayed on. And there was a teaching about boundaries, and it was really interesting to look around the room and see the variety of people and the struggles that people have with keeping healthy boundaries as far as sexuality goes, and sometimes even in other parts of their life as well, but predominantly in sexual situations. And then, they got into the cuddling, so, asking if you wanted to be touched or if you wanted to touch someone or cuddle with them or spoon with them. And yeah, it was kind of fun and kind of hot and not over the top racy by any means, but it was certainly interesting to participate. So do you just cuddle with one person at a time? Like, how does it work? No, like they had whole groups of people cuddling at the same time, and you kind of just float around the room and see where you want to fit in and ask permission and cuddle. And some people would go off into the corner by themselves, like just two people, and things would get a little bit more heated, but clothes stayed on.
And did everybody cuddle with somebody?
No, some people did not. That was certainly a choice.
How many people were there?
There was about 25 of us.
Wow.
And the age ranges were probably 30s up to the 60s.
That sounds good. Can I ask a question on what type of examples of the boundaries?
So if you don't want to be touched by someone, if they seem creepy to you, that is a boundary.
Do you think it's almost like an introduction or a stepping stone?
Absolutely. I absolutely think that.
So you'd go to another one?
Yeah, I would go to another one.
Our guest today, Stealthy Diva, is well versed in the arts of sacred sexuality, and she also released her Power Femme recently at the Forte Femme workshop with Midori that I also attended in San Francisco. She's a committed practitioner of sexual healing and has experience in both traditional and alternative medical realms with an emphasis on pelvic health and fertility. Again, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Professor.
So how do you describe yourself and your sexual identity?
My sexual identity, well, I guess that's evolving. I'm learning more and more about myself as I explore. So that's, I guess, how I would describe myself.
Okay. And do you have a shade of gray?
I think for me, it's going to those deeply intimate places that is really juicy for me. So that could take on look a lot of different ways, but that is the most fun when I have a deep soulful connection with my partner.
But I know that I've also seen you in thigh-high boots.
Yes, you have.
And that was pretty kinky.
That was a little bit kinky. So yeah, there is that side to me too. So that's kind of fun. Yeah.
That's okay. We won't judge.
They were my boots. So
oh.
Actually, we judge and we score.
Oh, do you?
So, in your day-to-day life, how out are you about your involvement in sacred sexuality?
You know what? I'm getting more and more out, and hearing your story about sharing with your daughter was really inspiring for me. So
most people have heard of Tantra or Tantric methods, but not a lot of people know what it is. And you said that you prefer to use the term sacred sexuality. So can you say a little bit more about what that is? How would you describe that to someone who's not familiar with it?
Well, I think that there's a lot of different traditions that teach sacred sexuality, whether it's, within Chinese medicine or Eastern principles like East Indian principles with Tantra. And then there's the indigenous teachings that are in North America and Central America with the Quadoshka teachings. So that was actually my first exploration into sacred sexuality.
The
Quadoshka. Yeah. I went to my first Quadoshka probably about 10 years ago. And that was the most healing that I've ever done in a 4-day span in my life. And it took years for that to unwind in my interactions with men in healthy ways, and even just really reaping the rewards of the work that I did to heal. So, like, for example, being able to move orgastic energy through my body, so much better, so much clearer after really going for it at my first cue. So
what? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What? How do you do that? How do you move orgastic energy?
I know, I'm just here. My hands going, tell me more.
Well, there's a lot of different ways, and I'm certainly not the expert in Quadoshkas, and I'll certainly forward you that information for your listeners. But,
sure.
there's energetic exercises that they do. And really, whenever you go to a workshop, whether it's a Kwadoshka or Forte Femme or wherever it is, whatever concern or issue that you're working on in your life at that time is going to come forward to be addressed. And in my experience, it's amplified tenfold, and I get to work it through. And one of the things that I've learned, and not necessarily through the Kwadoshka, I'm not sure where I learned it first, but just even talking about women and the G-spot, and G-spot holds trauma. So getting that moved out of the G-spot usually gives women much more ability to have better, more blissful orgasms.
That sounds really good.
The energetic work, for me, it was about releasing some of the trauma and learning how to take pleasure into my body. And they have different exercises for that. And my level of participation was, chosen by me in that moment. And the instructors were great in supporting me. So if I would hit a big bump in the road, they were willing to talk me down off the ceiling. So that was great. And they're really well trained. So I believe that they have to study for about 15 years before they're given the mantle to teach and share those teachings. So
what is energetic practice? I mean, I think for some people that's going to seem like a really foreign idea.
How can I explain that?
Like, is it like meditation, or are there exercises that you do with energy, or?
It was very physical.
Mm-hmm.
So not just about the meditation. There's certainly the going within part, but very physical about coming into balance energetically with chakras. They have a variety of different exercises that you do, and you partner up with someone in the room and work on that. And they're really quite protective about the sacredness of their teachings. So I'm not sure how much I can really share.
Okay. So, and what about Tantra? So Tantra is a less protected method.
So most of my tantric teachings have come through reading that I've done, and I've done a fair bit of reading, and working with a dear friend of mine in Vancouver. His name is James Smith, and I'll give you his contact information. And he's a sexual healer and a tantric healer, very, very skillful. So a lot of what Tantra is like, sometimes I think people think, oh, it's about getting into kinky positions and doing, different things sexually. But so much of it is really about the intimacy piece. So the eye gazing is a big component, and creating a safe container and knowing your boundaries. So I think sometimes, and this came up at the cuddle party last night too, is certain women around the room were astonished to realize that they don't even know what they want. So when you don't even know what you want, how do you communicate that to your partner? So that is certainly part of it, and breathing exercises and merging your energy with another person. And there's certainly, hot sexual encounters as well. So it's not just about eye gazing and doing some deep breathing exercises. So
the captain and I started reading, what's her name, Margot Anand's book, The Art of Sexual Ecstasy.
Right.
And there's a lot. It's quite involved.
It's very involved. Very involved.
We realized it's a commitment.
It is a commitment, and I don't think that you can read a book and do it once and feel like you've mastered it. And I think really having a really professional guide to assist us with those pieces is really helpful to, learn that skill.
It's like a mentor.
To a different level. Yeah, absolutely.
James, is he like a mentor or a partner or both?
He's a really dear friend, and I've done personal healing with him, definitely, and we've discussed working together, and he's been teaching me different techniques because I am a healer, and this is certainly one of the realms that I feel needs to be addressed more and more to help people step into their power and especially for women. I tend to work more with women than I do with men. And I think really claiming our sexual power is paramount. As far as having more joy in our life, being better in business. So my business flourishes every time that I go away and I do some of my own healing work, and that's no mistake. So it ripples out in every aspect of our lives.
Do you see this as a kind of holistic practice then? It's not just about sexuality?
I think that's what it's going to be for me. I'm still trying to unravel what it's going to be for me.
And you explore this on your own, right? Not with a regular partner.
Yeah, on my own. For sure. And I mean, James has certainly been helpful with that piece.
So some listeners might think that because these are sexual practices or because sacred sexuality is sexual, that you might need a partner to learn the methods. But obviously you don't. Is there a limit to how much you can do without a partner, or can you effectively learn these methods as a single person?
You know what? Right now, I'm single, and I think that our sexuality ultimately always comes back to us and our relationship with ourselves, first and foremost. So healing that is number one. And then, exploring with others outside of that is sort of the litmus test of how comfortable you are with that next piece that you work through. So I think that we need engagements with other people, but ultimately there's certain parts of the journey that is ours to do alone.
But so, for example, the art of sexual ecstasy, a lot of the exercises are designed for couples.
Mm-hmm.
So how would somebody pursue that?
So I think that you would need somebody to work with for that, because those are coupled, paired teachings. So you certainly do need a partner for that.
Because of the nature of those exercises.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, like, for example, the microcosmic orbit breathing, you can certainly start doing that by yourself and then engage with a partner.
And can you say a little more about the microcosmic orbit?
Well, that's moving energy up through your body and through your chakra system and out the crown chakra, and then moving it back down to the root chakra and circulating it and building energy. So you can certainly do that by yourself and then take it into a partnership. Bouncing that off of each other is very, very powerful. And it builds the energy even more.
Hey, are you guys practicing? Because I am behind mute. Are you? Yeah, heck yeah, I am.
I'm not very well versed in the chakras, so I think I'm finding it a little bit hard to picture.
Captain, need to help her.
Help her.
He doesn't know anything about chakras.
No.
So what kind of people do you think these sorts of methods would appeal to?
I think there's a couple of different audiences. So I think one of the big populations are people who've been in partnership for a while and they're getting bored and things are stale and they want to spice things up. I think that's one group that it would appeal to. I think another segment of the population is people who have hit the wall as far as trauma goes, and they're not able to engage in a sexual way at the level that they want to, and don't know why. So healing that trauma, I think that's another population.
So if someone who's listening is interested in pursuing these sacred sexuality practices, where should they start?
Well, I think doing some reading, I can certainly share some of the resources that I know, and then just feeling it out, what feels right for you, and talk to the people who are teaching or facilitating, and see if it feels like a fit. So we all have a bullshit barometer, and we just have to tune into that, I think.
myself, when I first started hearing people talking about Tantra and the breathing, the first thing that always comes to my mind is, oh, they're a bunch of hippies. But, over probably just the last 5 years, I have completely changed my way of thinking because my own sexuality has evolved. And one of the core things that have helped me with, experience awesome orgasms is breathing. So there's some connection and correlation with, the various types of sexuality and sensual education. And along with that comes the breathing, whether it has to do with chakra or if people don't want to use the verbiage of chakra, there are points in our bodies that I myself personally experienced energy that I didn't realize that I even had inside me. So it's awesome to hear you and the experiences that you've learned along your way, and you're willing to share it with people.
Thank you. And that really brings forward another huge, huge piece for me. So it's almost devastating to see how many women get on my table and are not vital in their bodies and their pelvises. And
There's so
it's
many.
time to have so much more enjoyment out of life and engagement. And I think we don't even know how numb we are sometimes.
Oh, I have met quite a few young ladies, under the age of 30 that they themselves have said they have no libido. And I'm thinking at myself going, oh my gosh, if only I were your age again, I'd be a little horny dog. But I understand what these young ladies, what these young ladies are talking about, because I myself experienced a similar lack of sex drive in my 20s, and I didn't know much about my body. There's just isn't an awareness out there in the mainstream world.
Absolutely. And I mean, sometimes it is very much about a biochemical imbalance, and you need the right practitioners to take care of that. Hormones can be out of balance, and, women have all kinds of different issues that are going on through different stages of their life, whether it's childbirth, menopause, postpartum pieces that totally affect sexuality and the way that we experience pleasure in our physicality. And I mean, there's the psychological component too. So it's not an easy thing to unwind all the time. Sometimes it's complex and multifaceted, but it's totally worth the journey. So
we will get some recommendations from you to post on our website for books and websites, teachers.
Yeah.
And we'll post
some DVDs.
Those. Oh, perfect. Is there anything else that you feel like we need to know about sacred sexuality before we close this segment of the show?
Or if there's just one thing you want people to take home from this, what would it be?
I think that it really comes back to the breathing all over again. And that is the key to everything.
That's really interesting, because I think most people would think, oh, well, this is a sexual practice. So to bring it back to breathing is like not what people are expecting, right? They're expecting something more hands-on.
Yeah.
And anyone listening to this would, why wouldn't you even want to just explore this? Who knows what doors it would open?
Oh, I've been totally shocked. Yeah. In some of the places that I've gone. So, yeah. And some of the places that I've seen other people go as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your
welcoming me.
Your sexpertise.
No, it's great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we talked a little bit with Stealthy Diva about orgiastic energy moving through the body, and it kind of reminded all of us of the massage by Claudia that we've all had when we were at Desire in Cancun. And we all have this experience where Claudia does these sensual massages. We talked about it in our episode about maximizing desire. And it kind of is like an experience of sacred sexuality. she doesn't call it that, but she calls her business A Touch of Magic, and it certainly does feel kind of magical. And Cindy, I remember you had yours first, and you had a really cathartic experience with Claudia, where you really felt, wasn't it cathartic?
It was. It was very good. That was a great choice of word.
So, can you describe that to our listeners to give a first-hand account of what it feels like when that orgiastic energy moves through the body?
Orgiastic.
You know,
isn't that what Stealthy Diva called it? Orgiastic.
Orgiastic. You know, I thought we made up a good word.
I thought
you just took that's a great word. All right, so it took me a while after my experience with Claudia to really put words to what happened to me. Because the way that we walked through those doors and my expectations were set through stories that we had heard about Claudia's sensual massage. And she only provides massages for couples. And all the hotels down there in Cancun know her. Wow.
Do they? Do all the hotels, like even the regular hotels, know her?
We heard that all those hotels up and down Cancun actually book her up weeks in advance.
Really? I thought it was only Desire.
No. It's all the new chains. I don't know if they're owned by the same one, but anyhow, let's just say word about Claudia has spread up and down the coastline. And, walking into her room, Professor T, I don't know what your first thought was, but I remember looking at, she has a lot of patrons to saints and,
yes,
religious stuff. And so if people haven't grown up in that environment, you might be thinking, okay, this chick's whacked out. And that's the first thing that I thought of. And I'm like, okay, how are you giving me a sensual massage? But I'm looking at the Madonna. I'm getting nervous. That was my first experience. I mean, my first impression. When I left, wow, my body was tingling. I mean, I had little energies, almost like when the pinprick on your skin and you feel like a lot of little needles, like when your foot goes to sleep. Yeah. I was having this tingling sensation on my fingertips, into my hands, and then they started on my feet. And it was almost like an energy source. I hate using that hippie term, but it was almost like there was a rush going up my wrist, through my arm and my shoulder, and everything was doing the same with my feet to my legs to my hips. And over time, she brought in Just John to help her do these circular massages, patterns with me. He became on one side and she was on the other. I'm laying face down. I'm loving the attention, which did take me a little time to relax into because I don't normally surrender. But this was the most relaxing moment. And when I'm feeling that tingling and rushing, oh man, it was mind blowing. My brain felt like it was swimming in circles.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also that experience, like you said, of really being attended to. We don't get that very often.
No.
And I think for me, that's why I've really been enjoying the 15-minute orgasm stuff, too, because it's like you get that undivided attention.
Something that we don't all get.
Personally, I'm not a big believer in all of the fancy voodoo stuff, but I do see, many a case that it is possible to get the mind into various altered states by giving it different unknown inputs and giving a lot of attention and making people lose track of their current state of mind.
What was your impression watching what was happening to me? Because I felt like there was a transformation, but how would you describe that moment as the looker of your wife?
I think you were fairly euphoric there.
I got really religious in my head.
No, thinking about it right now, it's sort of comparable to if you're doing a really good BDSM scene.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I kind of thought when you were talking, because you get that when you're working on someone, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you also
aim to get to take them out, you like freaking them out so they don't know where it's coming from and who's doing it exactly and what's coming next.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And once that, so the mind always tries to be in control. And if you overwhelm it with inputs, then after a certain point, it gives up trying to hold on. And once it releases control, then it creates an entirely new state of being for the brain.
Yep. Yeah, so, having the two of them doing a circular pattern, and my mind was racing. It was racing. I couldn't figure out who was where.
Did you see any color?
Yeah.
Did you know whose hands were whose?
I couldn't tell whose hands were who. And funny that you said color, because I was having a religious moment. It felt like for the first time in my life, I don't remember ever wanting to just break down and cry and go, I'll go to heaven right now, sir. Just take me, because I was in a state there was oranges and reds bursting in my eyes, and my eyes are covered this whole entire time. Going through my fingertips, up through my arm and through my legs, it was all orange, red, yellows, and it was awesome. It went through me, and this is going to sound voodoo-y again, but it did go through my skull. I felt like I was explosive, and it wasn't like an orgasm. I went in there thinking, oh, this woman probably gives the best hand jobs ever. That's why everyone's telling the stories about this woman. She gives you a sensual, deep tissue massage. That's what I expected. She doesn't enter any orifices. And no. I had... The only thing I can think of is a euphoric state of mind that I have never experienced before. And I'm not one of those hippie voodoo chicks that believes in this stuff. So I became a big believer. When she turned me over, I was in tears. I could not stop crying. My stomach was pulsating. It was almost embarrassing. But when I noticed my body was shaking and quivering, that I tried to control it, which made it worse. And then when I surrendered a little further, tears were just flooding out of me. I couldn't stop. It was a happy feeling, though.
What were the tears about?
I have no idea. I was happy. I don't know. Do you cry after a good orgasm? I know I do. So I was.
No, I laugh.
Okay, I do.
I always laugh.
You laugh at people. Oh, was it the best?
No, I don't laugh at people. When the captain and I have an orgasm, we always laugh. When we finish having sex, we're always laughing.
That's great. No, I didn't. I was not sad at all. They were tears of happiness because I was in such a great feeling, great state of mind. So I do believe what Stealthy Diva does. She uses the hippie terms, but I got to tell you, there is some truth to it.
Did you listen to the Nicole Daedone TED lecture?
No.
TED Talk? Because it's funny what you just described that you had with Claudia. She describes this exact same reaction when that guy took her for the first time to do his 15-minute orgasm technique. The guy who did it on her for the first time.
Right. Who
just kind of told her to lie back, surrender, and let him go to it with his finger. And she said she had never had that kind of attention before, and she was crying.
See?
And quivering and all of that.
Yep. I believe it.
And so, yeah, I think the Stealthy Diva, what Stealthy Diva's talking about with the sensual energy.
Yes.
And what the 15-minute orgasm does with the energy and the focus. Mm-hmm. And the massage by Claudia.
Yep.
It's almost beyond sex.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the personal growth moments, is realizing that the body has so much power that we don't understand, but they can be triggered by sexuality, but it's not purely sex. It's wow, this stuff is legal. You can't even buy this on the shelf or anything. This is a great, great feeling. Mm-hmm. I'm a happier girl when that happens. Hey, when in your moments, did you have tingling for several minutes after she stopped? My head to
I had a total out of body experience after she stopped. I didn't know, I was very aware of my body, and also kind of, I couldn't figure out where my body was in space. I knew I was on the massage table, but I was like lost. I was lost. It was bizarre.
But was it a good lost?
I didn't want to get up. It was a good lost. It was really good. I didn't want to move. I felt so warm and so
safe,
so relaxed, and completely, like I said, I had lost track of what was going on. I mean, I was, it was really.
Well, you know,
I didn't want to move.
So I guess the point with yours and my awesome experience and all the many stories about Claudia, I think that the rule should be everyone going to Cancun must visit Claudia with their partner at least once in a lifetime. Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth trying. So, and I wonder if this also ties back to that point in the TED Talk where she talks about how female orgasm is like the key to opening women's, healing their, I don't know, damaged souls or something. I can't remember how she's
right.
It's excellent.
She's right.
Yeah.
There is something about females' orgasms. Nothing.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I'm going to watch that talk again tonight, too. I think everyone needs to listen to that.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, from the guys, though, what about Captain's experience with Claudia?
He liked it, but I think he liked the massage at Desire better.
You know, they were good too. They practices a light version of Claudia. I thought they were really good also at Desire.
But they were more about, I thought, trying to make you have orgasms.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't do that until I felt your cock when she put the cock in my hand. I thought, oh my God, the massage therapist is wearing a strap on.
No, you thought this was a guy. Oh,
I know. That's why I'm like, oh my God.
Well, with me, they kept sticking the tip of that oil, the massage oil bottle, up between my legs and rubbing me with it, and I was having
I thought that
orgasm after orgasm after orgasm.
What?
I had about 6 orgasms.
Oh my God.
During the sensual massage at Desire.
I think you should repeat that part again. And she kept going and going and going. Keep going, Professor T. Great.
And he could hear me, and that was turning him on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. Like I just kept coming and coming and coming.
Wow.
So
I missed some.
That's why he really liked that.
I didn't have that experience. I had a good fun.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe it was one of those, like, results not typical. Because that was our first time at Desire, so we were just vibrating with the sexual energy.
Yeah.
In the resort. I mean, we'd never experienced anything like it. We weren't swinging at that time, so we were just on sensory overload, you know?
Right.
Like, we didn't even know this world existed. So, yeah.
Okay, maybe. That would have been awesome. Awesome.
So, we should try it. I think we're going to try it again.
Oh, next time we go, I want to make Claudia a regular field trip.
Luscious Labs with Professor T. And we have an ongoing lab report about the 15-minute orgasm. So we felt re-inspired this weekend listening to Nicole Daydon's TEDx talk. She's the author of Slow Sex, The Art and Craft of Female Orgasm, and she's the founder of One Taste, and that's the company or the business that offers orgasm training in the 15-minute orgasm method, which is apparently called the orgasmic meditation method. We didn't know this. So anyway, we listened to the TEDx talk the other night. It's a really good talk, so we'll have to put a link to it in our show notes. And then we couldn't wait to try it again. So we had a kind of a breakthrough with it today. Why don't you tell us, Captain?
We decided to try this out. And so we got our positions. And we discovered that I was a little off on where 1 o'clock was. 1 o'clock was 1 o'clock of the clitoris, of the clit. and to focus on that area. And why I was thinking that it was 1 o'clock of the vagina or of the.
Well, you were pretty close.
I was very close, but I really did think that it had to be 1 o'clock of the clit. And
like where the clitoris is 12 o'clock, right. And then you went off to the side.
That's right.
But I don't think that's
but it's
right.
1 o'clock. We're discovering that it's actually 1 o'clock of the clit.
Yeah.
On the clit.
Because that's where the action is.
Right. So the clit is 12 and 6. And you stay on but you rub 1 o'clock across the 12 and 6 of the clit.
It's hard to explain.
And it's funny because I think I've accidentally done that when Professor T had that incredible orgasm. And today I think we really secured that it is 1 o'clock of the clit.
Yeah.
On the clit.
On the clit.
You gotta be on there.
Because
so you gotta be on the clit, but
right.
But just in the top left-hand quadrant of it.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And the thing is, too, so when we listened to her talk, she talked about her first experience with this. And the guy who first showed it to her.
Introduced it to her, yeah.
Who first introduced it to her, just did that. Spent the 15 minutes totally giving her this experience. And then that was it. He didn't want anything from her after that. And so I said to the captain today, I don't think I've ever had a sexual experience with a man that was completely and utterly about me, where there was not going to be anything in it for him afterwards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he said, oh, well, today we're going to do it that way. But by the time he was finished doing this 15-minute orgasm, I just couldn't wait to fuck.
Yeah, I said, okay, I'm going now because I was going to be going to work. And I said, oh, and I'm going now. She said, you are? And I said, yes, this was about you. This is for you. She says, no, I want your cock in me. So,
it's all about her.
Bitch.
Yeah.
But I can see how maybe on a different day,
yes,
it might be nice to be able to do this with no expectations. I don't know.
Mm.
Anyway.
We will report back on that.
Yeah,
so we're definitely going to do that.
So you're saying 2 thumbs up or 10 thumbs up?
No, today I would have to say it was a 1 thumb up, but 2 thumbs up for the discovery.
1 thumb in the wrong place.
Yeah, 1 thumb, only 1 thumb up, but it's definitely a 2 thumbs up for discovering what we discovered.
And the thing is, I think that's why I was wriggling, because remember, yes, I always kind of try to wriggle myself into position so that the finger moves over just a little bit to the spot, right?
So,
and I was doing the same thing in Toronto in our other lab.
Right. So we're learning.
Was I hitting closer to the spot there? Then?
No, you were doing the same thing as he was.
Right.
Off to the side?
Off to the side just a little.
So this is a major
But
discovery.
boy, because even that was good, right?
Yeah.
Even off to the side has been good.
Yep, I liked what Captain did.
Yeah.
Good.
So I think getting it right on, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to handle it.
I am not going to miss the spot anymore. I know where it is.
So anyway, the method is called orgasmic meditation. That sounds sort of Sexy Diva. It sounds sort of like a sacred sexual practice.
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's totally sounding like that. And I think that it's also really important for women to not feel obligated to give, like to really have the ability to receive is paramount for women. And I think that's a stumbling block for many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think we've discovered something in there.
Yeah, so we feel like now I think that was the 5th time or maybe even the 6th time. And now we feel like we're ready to take it to another level.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you using an eye mask? Were you covering your eyes or did you just relax and keep your eyes closed?
No, I just had my eyes closed.
Oh, and one of the things that he did with her, and I didn't do that today, however, because I go into a little bit of a meditation when I'm doing this, but I decided that I was going to open my eyes and look and see what was happening. And that was rather interesting. And then I had forgotten, and Professor T reminded me that he actually described what her lips, what her clit looked like. He actually described
he described
it for
the whole
her.
genitalia,
Right,
like everything.
Yeah. And
what he was seeing, what the different colors were.
Yeah.
And this is on TechEd?
Yeah, TEDx.
TEDx. And what's the name of it again?
Her name is Nicole Day Dawn.
Okay.
And I'm gonna post I'll send you a link, but we'll post it on we'll post it.
I'm hungry for the info now.
It's an excellent talk. It's only 15 minutes. It's totally worth listening to or watching.
She's cure for hunger.
Of course, she's also, she thinks that every woman should experience orgasm, that it's the cure to sorry, we're having a thunderstorm here, so that's the background noise you're hearing.
Wow, I can hear it.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
But she says that every woman needs to unlock that hunger, that emptiness inside her, and that orgasm is the key.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending it to my daughters right now.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Stealthy Diva? Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. So when we're repressing our desires, that's not a healthy thing. So even just recognizing desires and then engaging, and very, very powerful. And that's about women stepping into their power and saying what they want, how they want it, when they want it.
Yeah.
And not just in sexuality either.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know. Yeah. I think it really can extend to all aspects of life.
Absolutely. And it's only going to be beneficial for the men in their lives too.
Yeah, because I think you get a lot out of it.
I get a lot out of it. I really do. I enjoy it.
Having an impact on both of us.
It's quite the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just John, we need to practice tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the Luscious Lab, and now for news of the week.
Ta-da! So Catalyst Con is an event that's created to inspire exceptional conversations about sexuality. And Woodland Hills down in Los Angeles, the event will be held September 27th through the 29th. It's basically sparking the communication about all our sensuality, sexuality, and the acceptance and activism.
Wow. That sounds kind of cool. Are you going?
You know, it's the same weekend as Folsom Street Fair, which is one of my favorite annual events. I am considering doing the jet setting down there for the Friday and Saturday, and then just John and I heading up for that Sunday, because normally it is a sunny, beautiful day. So we might have a fun weekend. I'll let you know. You want to come out? Can you fly out?
We were thinking of coming out for the fair.
Well, then we might have you go and meet us in LA, and then we'll jump over here. Wouldn't that be fun? It would be a lot of fun.
We'll talk.
Come on.
Unfortunately, the professor has to actually do some professing starting in September. So.
Oh.
Okay. So that's the news.
That's the news.
That's the news. Well, we're out of time, and I'd like to thank everyone, especially Stealthy Diva, for taking the time to share your sexy, sacred secrets with us, although you were still pretty secretive. You will find supposed to make us want more.
And who would?
That's it.
Yeah. So you'll find
the
links.
Stealthy part.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the stealthy part, exactly.
Yeah.
So you'll find links and references for this show on the website, blissbringers.com, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Feel free to drop us a tweet or an email message. You can email us at info@blissbringers.com, or you can send us a voicemail. We love voicemails. And you can leave them on the website, or you can call our number, which is 1-231-62-BLISS, which translates to 1-231-622-5477. And until next time, what's your pleasure?
All names mentioned in this show are either fictional, taken from public record, or held by people who have given their explicit consent to be mentioned.
Okay, well, maybe we should... Oh, wow.